Right, basically three. I've already been under the car working a little bit, but I'm just kind of finishing up, putting on the power steering lines to the rack. Let me spin it around. Try to get up in here and talk about what we're looking at. This one is a real booger to tighten up, I'll tell you that. But basically I just have to put this hard line on, and it attaches in here, and that last hole there, we'll get that tightened up. Then we can get our thermostat housing and radiator hoses all put in, and then we're going to put in the new heat exchanger for the blower. So we'll try to film some of that. Got all the power steering lines in, all the hard lines on the rack and everything. Had to modify a wrench to get these in clearance. It was that guy right there. Having space between the K member and that was quite difficult. So 18 mil, just obviously bust out the old grinder, put a notch in it. Got the lower rad hose on and thermostat housing and stuff. All my clamps are fixed properly, and I'm now about to install this oil filter relocator. That's right there on the oil cooler. We'll get into that. All right, so I've got the filter relocator housing clocked this way. I'm struggling with my decision here, because with the sway bar connected, and I had it with the two ports, my fittings coming out basically right here. So that would have me routing and possibly putting my oil filter, you know, up in this wheel well area, somewhere tucked inside behind the bumper. It'd be easy to access from underneath, which I kind of didn't like that. So I was thinking I'd go flip it around and have it routed with my fittings coming out the top, but I kind of don't like that with my fittings so close to my header primaries right there, just to put, you know, heat basically into the oil cooler system. It doesn't make much sense to do that. But I was thinking I'd put it there and have it, my filter in the battery box location. I think I may do that. Even still, I'll just have my fittings running down, have the lines run, loop down under the alternator, and come up right here, sort of like these power steering lines do. And that'll be clean and away from the heat. Alright, about to figure out how to install this heat exchanger for the blower and the pump, and see if these lines even fit. I'm gonna try to mock everything up and figure out how well this bracket holds everything up under here. I don't know. I might have to look some stuff up. We're gonna give it a shot. There's two tabs right here where my coolant reservoir overflow bolt-in are bent down. It looks like from probably them installing or removing, rather, probably the 2-valve motor. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of pull that up a little bit. Actually, I can see that whole edge is pretty worked. Alright, so here's where we are as of now. In the heat exchanger mounted up, hung up there, got a pump kind of hanging. I'm missing a bracket that you know, I would put on this side, so I just made this little temporary thing, little piece of strap I just cut, made a little hook, and it will just slide in there, drop down, hang there. See if I can do this one hand or tighten it. All right, well, that'll at least hold itself there while I get everything else mocked up, and I'm gonna have to locate one of those brackets, or probably what I'll end up doing is actually just build something better. So, fitting up my heat exchanger pump. I believe this is where, sorry, I'm never looking at the camera. That's where that goes, matches up with those two holes. That guy and that guy, like so. There's nothing there, so got a bolt and a washer, piece of baling wire that I'm going to try to fish over. Let's see. This is pretty difficult to do with one hand. My God, set it in the back. So put all this stuff there. Anyway, so there's one. Do the next thing. And we got that bolted up. And still just working on my hose routing for this. I don't have, or at least I haven't come across the hose that comes with the kit for the heat exchanger. So I'm using the factory hoses and probably a bit of this factory tube to make what I need happen. Alright, so the way I've got this going, my lower hose, I'm using the factory, the short piece of the hard line, and it's going to line right up. I'll just have to use a little straight piece, couple those together, piece of rubber line, that has a nice clean, you know, profile there. So that's going to be great. Then I just have to get a hose from the pump to this upper part to the exchanger. And what I'm going to do is use the factory hose part. I'll probably have to trim about here and then just, you know, fit it right there. But I've got to get through this ducting basically. It's got 1.25 inch paddle bit. I'm going to basically just bore a hole right here and you know, snake my elbow through there, and this hose will nearly line up perfectly with this upper. Not this, but I'll trim it here and I'll have just a bit of straight section to couple that together. Clean up a bit of trimming off that. Oh, I need to pull the clamp off. So that might be fun to actually get that on there, but just have to go under and do it. Won't be able to film it. Alright, so got the hose through there perfectly. Clamps all lined up. Same thing under here, and then like I said, this is my hard line. I'll have just a straight coupler to get those lined up, or connected rather. Yeah, I think that worked out beautifully. and then just have a piece to connect from here to here. Heat exchanger installed. All clamps and lines connected. Let's see if I can bring my harness back up here. Plugged in. I had to go rob these little studs off my 98 GT parts car out there, and I had to straighten up this edge a little bit. It was kind of bent from, I guess, the previous owner, either removing, it seemed like they bent it trying to remove those studs or something, because why else would they be missing, and why else would that be all bent up? How weird. They're super simple to take out. I don't understand sometimes why people do things the way they do it. But nevertheless, all right, wrapping up day 3. It's Wednesday. Just almost 5 o'clock, which I'm gonna head home a little early today. Let's just go over. Got finished up the power steering lines and all the lines on the rack. All those. Installed the heat exchanger for the blower and the pump, and had to do a bit of fabricating and making things work using all the factory stock 03 Cobra parts, factory lines, and hoses. Basically, the only thing aftermarket is the exchanger itself. What else have I done? Radiator hoses, and got all that sorted out and hooked up. What else? Sort of got my intake tube fitted properly. My cage for the belt, this was bent, so I straightened that up a bit. That just straightened out. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, I got all the radiator hoses, caps. I got to get this actually bolted in place, but everything is there, sorted, lined up. Everything's installed here, tight, ready to go. That leaves us pretty much tomorrow. I'm gonna come in, put the car back down on the ground, move it over a little bit so I can get up under the dash, and I'm gonna pull the pats and ignition solenoid. So yeah, ignition tumbler, solenoid. Anyway, let's switch the keys, the pats, put that inside interior back together. Basically, I'll just need to put a drive shaft under it and exhaust, fill it up with fluids, and I believe we'll be ready to fire this thing up, and fingers crossed we'll be ready to drive it. But I need a hood, I need a bumper, front bumper, and that'll pretty much wrap it up.
For me. Old schools, I just gotta pull my valve cover to fill it